Good morning, everyone, and welcome. This is Joe Scarice, founder and host of the Creative Birth Strategy House here on Clubhouse, and also founder and co-founder and host of the Creative Birth Strategy podcast. And we're here to provide education, networking, and hopefully some great nuggets of information every Saturday and Sunday morning. Saturday mornings 8 a.m. and Sunday mornings 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we'll get started here in just a quick second. Always trying to come up with a different subject to tackle. Make sure we're really getting something out of it. We'll get things set up here in just a few minutes, as fast as my thumbs will work. A lot of things to talk about. We didn't really cover this past week's endeavors, and obviously we're all aware of the assassination attempt of former President Donald Trump. Our prayers are with him in this time of really high concern of our entire country at this point. So let's put our prayers out there for him. Whatever party you fall under, it doesn't really matter. It's a man that somebody tried to kill. So it was a half an inch away from death. So if anybody feels that, they should be completely pray for that man and pray for everybody, his family, and hopefully everything will be okay. So it'll be very interesting to see how the market reacts as well on Monday to that. I think it'll be a very active market on Monday, volatility as well as economic push and pull. So I'm going to get started here in just a few minutes. Our discussion this morning: identify, prospect, and solution real estate investor strategies. But first, I'd like to thank our sponsors as always. I'd like to thank Perkatech, Yardell Perkins, our social media strategist, who provides a consistent support and partnership in this podcast. We are now celebrating our 51st podcast. We got past the 50 mark yesterday, and we're here to. Our concern is about education. Our concern is about making sure the real estate professional provides that insight, and where Yardell comes into play is the social media support, the understanding, the strategy. I'd like to thank Realty 411 with Linda Pelagas, a national publication for real estate professionals and services throughout the country, as well as national events. She has a big upcoming event in LA, the Grand Los Angeles Expo. And then we have MB Capital, your unsecured business line of credit provider of unsecured business lines for real estate professionals and business-to-business individuals. And then Lendmark Capital, where I'm a senior loan analyst, where I provide asset-based lending in the DSCR space, 1 unit up to 25 units, single-family to multifamily, fixed to rent, fixed to flip, new construction, blanket loans, advisory and strategy, and growth and scaling your real estate portfolio in the asset-based lending space. So today's discussion: identifying, prospecting, and solutions for real estate investor strategies. To identify and prospect and provide solutions for the real estate investor strategist, it's essential to understand the various approaches to investors use to generate returns. And we're going to break that down at common strategies, how to identify and prospect and tailor solutions for everyone that's listening in this morning. But I want to tackle and go back. We kind of pushed off just updates to the market. We had a 0.10% change, 0.0010 change in our inflation, and you thought the world was saved. But I personally think it was a government ploy. But the market did react. We did go below 7% on our rate. We're about 6.82, 6.85. That might bounce back. That was just kind of like a blip. Inflation going down only a tenth of a shred doesn't really make much of a difference in the grand scheme of things. I think people in their pockets still feel that there's a lot of inflation, a lot of heavy costs to do whatever. I mean, I just booked a bunch of hotel rooms. My eyes just explode when I see the prices for hotels at this point to stay overnight one place or another. So very interesting to see there. Investor buying, another article that caught my eye that I posted this past week. Investor buying activity picks up after a 2023 slump. The investors are coming off the sidelines. There was zero home buying experience in the spring market. All I'm seeing is, where are the investors buying? whether it's Class C, B, or A, they're buying, and they're buying heavy based on asset-based lending products. The non-bank versus the bank lending, the whole non-bank environment is far exceeding any bank expectations, and it's not going to get any. It's not going to even get any slowing down. We're busting at the seams on DSCR and fixed to rent, fixed to flip. There's actually not enough good labor right now in our space. The caveats are the direct private lenders, where the real money's coming from. They're having staffing issues, and there's a lot more brokers and correspondents trying to tag along, and then there's just a lot of stress to the process and the underwrite to these files. So there's still we're out there in the market. The average close for a fixed to rent, fixed to flip is about 20 days, and an average DSCR right now is closing taking about 30 days. So it's still there, but there's a heavy stress to the process and the underwrite to these files. But right now, home buyer activity has reduced. Investor activity has increased. It's going to continue to increase. It's going to outpace the market as a whole. I don't see that. I don't see a fall market at all coming back just because the rate came down an eighth. Our commercial rate stayed pretty much the same, around 7% base rate. So not much change there in the LLC space. Housing inventory still tight, but how can these vacant properties play a role? That was a very interesting article. There's a lot of COVID era foreclosure momatoria that's out there on these national banks that they can't get a lot of these vacant properties to the market. And the downside of the vacant market and the challenges, not only in the housing market but also for the neighborhoods and the communities. Like, how's this going to impact these communities when you have blighted houses sitting out there that they can't get to the market? I know there's going to be a lot more AI involved with a lot of these vacant properties and getting to the auction houses and getting to the front line, but there's definitely a sludgy point right now to get these properties out of foreclosure and get them into the share sales or get them to tax sales, get them out and push them out, get them to the investors to renovate and fix to flip, fix to rent, renovate, whatever they got to do, because the home buyer, today's home buyer is not geared toward renovation. They're not geared toward buying and renovating a property. They want to go and they want to move into something turnkey. I mean, they'll put some paint up, some minor stuff, but this is the advantage that us investors have. We have a plethora of a power team to get in, renovate, identify, get the deal up and running, and get it to the front line, whether it's a sale or to rent. I just don't see this whole huge group of home buyers saying, "Hey, I want to do what HGTV does, and I'm going to buy and renovate these properties." It's just not going to happen like that. It's not going to happen like that. So this ties into, for the real estate investor, identifying prospecting, solution making for real estate investor strategies. There's a huge demand of combination of innovation, strategic foresight, and adaptability in 2024 going into 25. The cost of capital availability, property prices, vacancy levels, leasing activity, transaction activity, rental rates. You need to get familiarized with all of these bullet points. Embracing prop tech innovations like we talked about yesterday is so important, and harnessing data analytics to understand your market, identifying opportunities and risk mitigation to renovations. And if you're going to play ball in accumulating rental properties, is identifying the right investor management software. Exploring emerging markets and areas. Go 10 miles more out. Believe me, don't worry, that rural market's going to become suburban market very soon. I can give you a great example. There's a corridor up in the Delaware Water Gap where Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey is. They're laying track down in from Scranton down into the New Jersey market, and the word has it they're going to bring it into the Tobyhanna area. And right now, Tobyhanna area is just dead. Days on the markets are high. You put a train there that's getting you back into New Jersey, you just change the dynamics of where people want to live and where they're going to work from in the hybrid, the new hybrid world. Another key thing you need to do is learn how to outsource your third-party work, whether it's a virtual assistant or tasks. You need to be able to put together a pod of a team to handle a lot of these different things. And focus on niche markets and segments. Maybe there's a little niche thing that's in your market that you could tackle. Okay, maybe there's a single family 3-bedroom 2-bath, or 3-bedroom with a finished basement and a half a bath makes a difference in the values, where it's going to support Section 8 housing or housing affordability. Maybe look at that 5 through 10 unit type of multifamily. How many are out there right now? What's that available market? I tell people, listen, you want a game change? Look at a 5 through 10 unit and see what's out there. That market's smaller. Identifying those opportunities are different. So you got to identify, prospect, and solution solving. Like the state of Pennsylvania just shut down wholesaling for the most part, other than if you're a licensed real estate agent, or you can only wholesale commercial properties, meaning 5+ unit multifamily, or you can only do commercial industrial wholesaling or land. That law is coming into effect. I think that law is going to go into effect throughout the country. I think Pennsylvania is just a starting point for where you need to be a licensed realtor to be a wholesaler. There's just too many bad apples in the batch that are creating chaos in an industry that's not regulated at all. And it needs to stop, because again, there's a lot of bad people in every market, every type of industry. But you need to put licensing behind it. And I think finally NAR is getting their head out of there, and saying, hey, we need to get our hands around this wholesaling. I was at an event where the wholesalers were complaining like they had no representation. Well, you're not licensed. Why should you have any representation in regards to an industry that you've not taken serious enough to support in the right way and to do right by the customer, not to just do right by yourself? So, for the wholesalers that are listening in this morning, you need now to sharpen your craft and be very transparent and create a very good communication with your future clients, because it could end up burning you in the end. And the idea of you maybe becoming a licensed realtor to combine being a wholesaler is becoming more obvious. I was having a conversation with a wholesaler yesterday. He realizes this, his days are numbered in being a wholesaler, and most likely being a realtor wholesaler for the most part, and also being an investor as well. Good morning, Travis. Welcome. Brief overview of who you are, what you do, and thoughts to the discussion this morning: identify, prospect, and solution solving in the real estate investor strategy market.
Hey, Joe. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, I'm Travis. I have a real estate brokerage here in the Houston area. Been investing in real estate since 2001. And what the last thing you were talking about, Joe, about the wholesalers, I don't know if there is going to be a requirement that they have a license. Maybe they will in all the other states. But one thing that I found when I'm looking at wholesale deals, which, there's so many of them that get sent out every day, is I wonder, and I've talked to some of these guys, like, hey, don't you guys remember that what we're really looking for is 70% of ARV minus repairs should be our acquisition cost? So how is it that you're sending out these deals, or why are you sending out these deals that that don't fit into that formula? And I just don't get it. And I think that the people that are buying these properties, they're out of their mind. They're getting into it with having more money in the deal than they should, and already they're going to be, behind the 8 ball.
Travis, you brought up a very good point, because I get these phone calls. Well, I need to get every dollar out. Well, why? Oh, well, I paid an assignment fee of 30 grand. I said, well, you were at 80% loan to value based on the after repair value. I can't promise you that money back. Did you evaluate it from a cash on cash return basis and see how long it would take you to get you the money back if you left some of it in on the refinance? I'm like, where is the common sense to all this? I mean, it seems like common sense in investing kind of has gone out the window a little bit when it comes to all this wholesaling stuff. You know what I mean? I don't know. I mean, I don't. It's not getting any better. I think it's getting worse because I think the realtors out there that don't know how to market themselves to identify off-market deals themselves. They've not been trained that way. They're not trained to go out and prospect for off-market deals like wholesalers do. Wholesalers are spending $10,000, $20,000 a month. Do you think a realtor is really going to spend $10,000 to $20,000 a month to prospect deals? I mean, honestly, no. They're taught that you get your license, you make phone calls, you call expireds, you do a couple other things, you take pictures in front of cars you don't really own, and splashy events, and whatever, and get all your service providers to pay your way, and you should get some deals out of it and start making a living within 6 to 8 months, right? I mean, that's what, right? So that's not really how it works. You gotta grind. You gotta grind, and I think the problem is the average realtor does not know how to pivot in a market that's changed on them, where they could fall on a first-time home buyer every other block. Now they actually have to go out there and earn and kill what they eat, and I think they just don't know how to do it.
Yeah. I don't mind paying a wholesaler an assignment fee if it's reasonable and if the numbers work, right? Because it's really difficult to go find those deals, and you got to have a little bit of balls to go knocking on people's doors that looks like their property might be one that you'd want to buy, and it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. So I don't mind it, but at the same time, it has to be reasonable. You have to leave meat on the bone for the next guy. I mean,
absolutely.
The thing that I learned a long time ago, even when you're buying in a down market, or you're buying in a market that's coming out of a depression and going into a boom, you buy it. That's the perfect market to buy it, by the way, right? So a market that's coming out of a depression and moving into a boom, you buy in that market and you sell before the market gets too hot, right? So you sell before it's reaching its peak, which you can tell when the builders start building like crazy again. That means that the market's getting good, and you sell and you leave some meat on the bone for the next guy, so that they can still buy that house and they're going to have a property that appreciates, and then you move on to the next market. So I'm all right with all that. I don't know exactly what it is that you want to talk about as far as these investing strategies, but just making sure that the numbers work is the first way you're going to be successful.
Yeah. Well, what we can talk about here, and thank you, Travis, is how to create and follow a marketing plan. I think is most important. A lot of real estate professionals should have, I hope they have, what are they doing every day? Like, what's the game plan when you get back from the gym at 6 a.m., right? 6 a.m., you're at the gym to 7 a.m. You get back, you shower up, you're ready to hit the road or whatever you got to do. What is the plan? What should the plan include, right? It must include daily prospecting, 60 to 90 minutes every day. My first part in the morning is hitting up 5 to 10 prospects every single morning. Hey, doing a check-in. How's everything going? Doing a text. Hey, I'm doing this to 5 or 10 different people every single day. Yurdell and I are doing a CRM blast every day on a different subject. Specific marketing campaign. Okay? I also have a VA team calling 50 to 100 of my leads a day, checking in. Hey, Joe Scarice from Lenmark Capital was checking in to see if you need unsecured business lines, DSCR, rental loans, etc. Combine all that with me out meeting new people and refreshing that database every day is very important. And then understanding your target market and associated demographics, market segmentation, and strategies. You need to have competitive advantage strategies. What are you bringing to the table that nobody else can? Is it your intuitiveness? Is it your education? Is it your insight? Is it your market updates? Is it your articles? And then you got to set daily, weekly, and monthly goals. I really don't understand why people do these New Year resolutions. That's absolute horseshit. In this real estate space, you got to have something going on daily, weekly, and monthly. Communication and outreach efforts. What are you doing to be the network? How are you making connections for others? How are you being that go-between? How are you helping others to get reciprocation on deals? And obviously, digital marketing strategies. These are things that you need to really think about and know more about your market. Like, you should know everything that's going on in zoning, community outreach, networking events. You should be holding your own networking event. Like, why trust others for your networking capabilities? Why? I'll give you an example. I teach 2 very specific CE courses nationally because I wrote the CE modules, I published them, and I put them out there. Do you think I'm depending on realtor associations to help me get in front of realtors to teach that CE? Absolutely not. I'm depending on myself because the realtor associations have their own set of problems. I'll be surprised that they'll be all in business in the next 5 years, to be honest. So you got to know what your realtors need. You got to know what your investors need. You need to know what your service providers need, and check in with them and see what they need on a week to week, month to month basis. But you definitely need to know your market. Irony enough, it's kind of funny. Like every once in a while, my wife and I will go into Philadelphia, and she's from Philadelphia. I'm just driving around doing what we got to do. I kind of know Philadelphia sometimes better than her when we're driving around. I know my market. I also know the New Jersey market. I know the Delaware market. I know the Maryland market, the Virginia market. I'm pretty strong in the Northeast. Then after that, it's market by market. But I learn my markets. I identify with my markets. I investigate by looking at data and mashing it up with professional services in the field there. It might feel like an uphill task, exhausting for opportunities, but understanding your market, going to zoning meetings, getting involved with community outreach, and nailing down the right networking events should make you a stronger networker and network for opportunities to create inbound lead traffic. Justin, good morning and welcome. Brief overview, who you are, what you do, and thoughts to the discussion. Identify, prospect, and solution solving with real estate investor strategies.
Yeah, good morning, Joe, and everybody else in the Bird Strategies Club. Yeah, I think this is a good topic. I'm kind of multitasking a little bit. What's going on right now? I'll tell you this. I heard y'all bring up a couple of things about wholesalers and realtors and stuff like that. I always feel like it's important as an investor to know in some way, shape, or fashion to identify a product or type of property that you're looking for. Kind of need to know. Just for example, it doesn't matter if it's a property, it doesn't matter if it's something or whatever. You need to know kind of somewhat of the process, right? What makes that deal a good deal? Not generally speaking, but actually speaking, physical piece of property you need to know. You need to have a long term. You need to have a overall strategy for whatever it is you're looking at, right? This is prior to reaching out to a realtor or a wholesaler. And the reason is you kind of need to tell them what to look for. You don't want them blindly sending stuff. Just hoping you find a deal. I find this a lot, but like first time investors and early on investors and stuff like that, they're just looking to get something, and they're just excited about the prospect, which is great. We all start there. but I think you have to get scientific about everything, and that includes, right, identifying the right type of professional. So whether it's the lender, whether it's the wholesaler, whether it's a realtor, these people need to be vetted to the point where can verify. Even vetted even means you're using them because another successful person doing whatever it is style deal you're doing is using this person, right? That's a good. That's one of the easiest ways. I'll say the easiest way, right, to identify a professional that can get the job done, right? And so, another thought I had is this was random, Joe, a couple weeks ago. I started texting you at the start. Knowing the process well enough to know that I don't know why people shop houses, right? But I think people should shop for money a little bit more. I think that, that should be a thing as well too. It's not so much about the interest rates, it's about terms, it's about process. I think that's very important thing for example, somebody flipping houses or somebody building a portfolio of rental properties, right? Knowing the process of knowing the lending process, right, is important in understanding how you're going to cycle back to your next step. What is going to be your next step? Are you going to do something short term? Are you going to do 3 to 5 year? Are you going to try to do a longer fixed rate situation? Right? Am I in the price range to do that type of deal? Like you need to know what product it is you're trying to develop, invest in, or whatever the case may be, and you absolutely need to be up to par on that strategy and how to best link for that thing. So that's my thoughts, man. You know how I feel about wholesalers and stuff like that. So I won't go there, but man, great topic.
Well, thank you, Justin. And irony enough, just yesterday, talking with a gentleman that I find to be a very nice real estate professional. He is a wholesaler. He's a hustling kind of guy. He's getting a license. He's like, Joe, what do I need to ask my clients to get a loan in the investment space? I took the time and I sent a complete write up, the bullet points. These are the questions. If it doesn't apply, just put NA. If you send that to me, I could put a loan together for you and your client, and I could pay you a referral fee or origination fee because I'm allowed to, because I'm not regulated. And I know somebody in the chat brought it up. I feel bad for a lot of residential loan officers right now. They're very lost in the sauce if they weren't able to pivot in understanding non-QM lending, because home buying, lending is flatlined. Somebody's only buying a home out of necessity in certain markets. Certain markets are staying strong. Most markets are soft. So for the most part, if you didn't stay ahead of the grade in understanding the change of the lending criteria out there in the non-QM space, most loan officers that work for a banker, broker, or bank, they have non-QM, but it's regulated. There's definitely a difference between non-regulated and regulated non-QM under a banker, broker, or under a true non-QM asset-based lender. And not a lot of people don't really understand that, but it definitely makes a difference in discussion with clients, because they're like, hey, do you need my tax returns? Do you need my pay stubs? Do you need my W-2s? Do you need my 1099s? No, I don't need any of that. Okay, so there's definitely a change in the loan officer, not just the real estate agent. The real estate professional is actually staying quicker and ahead of a lot of these other industries, knowing how these products and programs are getting out there. Whether it's new construction, build to rent is very popular right now. Spec development, fix to rent, fix to flip, DSCR. DSCR goes from 1 unit up to 25 unit multifamily under $3 million. That's really, really powerful. Okay, that's a really powerful parameter of opportunities for a lot of investors that couldn't get into a deal because they didn't have the documentation. And most of the more savvier wholesalers have a larger sphere of influence. So if they decide to or have to get licensed, to justify what they're doing from a wholesaling perspective, and then unloading some of the properties, hoteling or even buying the properties themselves and putting them on the market per se, the MLS, their circle of influence is going to be way bigger, way quicker than an average real estate professional coming into the market today, just as a licensed realtor or as a licensed loan officer. And you need to follow a social media strategy consistently. You can't just say, hey, one day I'm going to start marketing today, and then don't do anything for a week. It's every single day you got to garden and mulch and provide topsoil to your social media garden. You got to feed it every single day. That's the plan. And then you can categorize and figure out what is working in the inbound inquiry for your lead generation based on your social media strategies. Amy, good morning and welcome. Thank you for yesterday's discussion on AI implementation. Brief overview, who you are, what you do, and thoughts to the discussion this morning, identify, prospect, and solution solving in the real estate investor strategy space.
Good morning. I'm Amy Palvido. I'm the founder and CEO of a real estate technology company called Facilimac. And I'm also the chairwoman of the U.S. PropTech Council. PropTech is basically any technology that serves the real estate industry. I'm out on a walk, so I apologize if you hear the car noise. So I would agree with you, Joe, on the opportunities that lie in the smaller multifamily space. I believe that's kind of a bluer ocean at the moment. I think there's more inventory. I think it changes the game for a lot of real estate investors, because now they can get commercial loans instead of residential loans, and so you're not as worried as much about debt to income, well, at all. And it changes the game for you on how you can scale. But if you're going to get in that game, and I've been a multifamily investor and owner since 2010, you need to understand that the smaller multifamily units, you're going to want to employ a lot of technology, because otherwise the property management fees are going to eat your shirt. And so you need to understand what kind of technology is out there that you can do that to minimize those expenses. But I would say if you're sourcing for deals and you're trying to get into that smaller multifamily space, you need to know where those investors hang out. And back to your point about networking, it's so key. Yes, you can deploy a lot of technology, and it does, and it'll get your name out there, it'll get your brand out there, and that's what you should be doing. You should be sourcing for leads. You should have a technology that basically runs through the first part of your lead funnel for you, and you don't have to do that kind of stuff. You should have all of these pieces in place. But at the end of the day, networking is still going to find you the deals. Networking is going to find you those off-market deals. But there is new technology out like Flipbid and others that are helping in that arena. But if I were an investor right now, and I'll probably jump back in the game, I would jump in and look at that small multifamily space that you were talking about, for sure.
Well, the competition level is just not there. You don't have a lot of people saying, "Hey, I want to go into a small balance acquisition of a multifamily 5 through 10 unit." There's just not a lot of people there looking at that, and the inventory is not as big. And the irony too is most realtors that list those type of properties don't list them correctly, so they're listed not correctly based on pricing and debt service and a lot of other things. And some of that stuff sits out there and becomes an opportunity for somebody to come in and identify and buy. But I feel like right now you got to fish in lakes that have fish. Right? You don't want to go lake. You don't go out fishing in a lake that that hasn't been stocked with any fish. You're just going to be sitting there with a pole and a worm, and that's about it. You need the way I was coached and still coached is that you need to identify each event that makes sense for you and where there's a cost benefit. If you're not presenting at that event, why are you going to that event, and who are you trying to identify? And are you going to get there a half hour early because early is on time and on time is late? And you need to meet every single person in that room, and you need to provide them a business card, get their information, and follow up with them almost immediately. Okay? almost keep that skillet warm, hot, sizzling hot, and follow up with blog posts, videos on how to, behind the scene tips, social media memes, articles, and stay in their influence. Like I ask everybody down below, please follow me on LinkedIn. Please connect with me on LinkedIn, because I'm the information we're talking about today, I provide every day. Like there's an article on every subject that we have here every Saturday and Sunday posted throughout the week. You got to manifest your audience. Okay? And then hosting real estate seminars or a workshop or a mastermind. It doesn't have to be a seminar, it could be a mastermind. Masterminding with like-minded individuals, which like we're starting in September at my office with Yardell and myself, our offices in South Philadelphia. We're going to mastermind and then put it on Clubhouse and put it on Apple, put it on Spotify. We're going to be out there every second Monday evening of the month, 6:30 to 8:30, and we're going to mastermind. And the people that are going to attend live, they have to be involved. They have to, because it's going to be a very interactive discussion. 60 minutes of powerful content. And I want the right people in that room. I'll give you a great example of an event that I went to. 5 people came, but I was the speaker. I had no problem showing up. I got there. I did a great presentation. I now have 20 refinances to work on from one client that came from out of that deal. So was it cost benefit for me to present and be the focus of the attention that night? Absolutely. I'll go back to that every time if I know that a guy like that's going to be there. Owen, good morning and welcome. Brief overview, who you are, what you do, and the thoughts to the discussion. Identify, prospect, and solution solving with real estate investor strategies.
Good morning, Joe. Good morning, Clubhouse. Owen Dublin out of the Philadelphia, PA area. I'm a loan strategist at Bird Cash. We provide loan solutions for real estate investors. And for the topic regarding for investor strategies and prospecting, and I'm going to touch on some things that Joe mentioned, like, consistent action, right? You got to take action, but you got to take it consistently. You can't do it for a week and then stop, because sometimes you'll get the results for months after, but you have to be consistent. And then also, analysis of the actions you're taking, right? What are the results? What are the results saying? Which actions are yielding better crops as you're taking the action? I also want to add, understanding market conditions and changes. And when I say like changes, for example, hazard insurance for properties have evolved compared to like 5-6 years ago. The price of, everyone has insurance for the property probably going up compared to 5-6 years ago. And it now is an important factor, I believe, when it comes to real estate investing. And also, too, for example, other changes. State of PA just passed a bill for residential wholesalers. You have to be aware of the things that are going on in your local environment. And then next, what are you doing to get better? Personal development. What books are you reading? Where are you networking? You got to network, you got to read, you got to get better. And then lastly, realistic with your numbers and your goals. Run your numbers, but are your goals realistic to the current market and environment and where you're trying to invest? And thanks, Joe.
Owen, thank you. Is one of them to play chess with you? Is that in the list of things too?
We do have to play this game. You let me know. I'm in PA, New Jersey. Let me know which state you want to lose it.
Well, my personal preference is Washington Square Park in the city in New York, but we can't have all our wishes. You know what I mean? But that's where I used to play chess. So thank you, Owen. And Owen and I are colleagues and associates. I mean, at least over a decade, right, Owen?
Yeah, before the pandemic, but yeah, at least a decade.
Post-stroke. So pre-stroke. So when I was 390 pounds, he knew me, and now he knows me when I'm 225, and I still hustle the same way, right?
That's true. Yeah.
So some factors to real estate investing. Property location. What is the investment purpose and the investment horizon to that property? What are the expected cash flows and the profit opportunities? Is it a tear down? Is it renovation? Is it light rehab? Is it heavy rehab? Is it full-blown gut to the studs? Valuation of the property. And then what's going to be your leverage, right? Like what type of financing are you going to need to be able to be involved with? What's the debt and what type of equity are you going to need to be able to bring? Listen, if you're thinking you're going to get 100% financing on everything, you're not in the right business. you're really not in the right business. And overall, what is that real estate market looking like? Is it a rental market? Is it a home buying market? Is it kind of in flux? Are values decreasing, increasing? Is it stagflation? Where's the location? Is it near a train station? Is it near the bus? Is it convenient to a college, a school? Who's going to be your tenant? And understanding what your credit score and how that's going to impact pricing, not just from the bridge perspective and the fixed to rent, fixed to flip, but the DSCR. Rates are different when your rent is your credit's from 660 to 680, 680 to 700, 700 to 720, 720 to 740, 740 to 760, 760 to 80. Up and up. And rates are good and bad from there. So you need to take all this in consideration and factors to real estate investing. The old thought of location is just not the king anymore. There's a lot more factors that need to be taken into account when evaluating and prospecting and solution solving for your real estate investor strategies. Timothy, good morning and welcome. Brief overview who you are, what you do, and thoughts to our discussion this morning. Identify, prospect, and solution solving for real estate investor strategies.
Good morning, Joseph. Good morning, everyone. Timothy Doyle. I'm a buy and hold real estate investor up here in the greater Lehigh Valley. Do that as kind of a part-time gig. The other part is I actually co-host the Lehigh Valley Real Estate Investors and Wholesalers Club up here in the greater Lehigh Valley. I may have that name wrong, but you can find us on Meetup. We meet every second Thursday of the month. Joseph, you've come up and visited us, and we're grateful always for your presence and your knowledge. My thoughts are, again, it's going to be a turn in the market with the wholesalers, and I think it's a good term because we've mentioned that, and mentioned a couple things in the back channel as well, where essentially, for what we have out there, or the limited amount of inventory that is out there, a lot of it's getting gobbled up by bad deals, bad wholesale deals, et cetera, and the fact that the state of Pennsylvania passed that law unanimously that wholesalers will now need a real estate license. I believe it's within the next 180 days, 190 days. I don't know can't remember the exact parameter, but in order to wholesale a property, it's a good thing. It's a step in the right direction because there have just been a lot of bad deals, a lot of things getting overpriced because of this. I've seen it where the sellers have been left with the bag and the gamut of stuff, and these wholesalers unfortunately don't have their skin in the game. So in Pennsylvania, the identifying prospect solutions on a wholesaler's end is going to the landscape of that is going to completely change. Out here in Pennsylvania, I don't know about in the other states, but I'm pretty sure they're very similar, where the wholesalers would have to, or any real estate agent out there, anyone who has a license, in order to do business, has to hang their license with a broker. Here's the caveat to that: a lot of brokers I've seen, outside of a few, are would be comfortable, or even know what wholesaling is, or know how to get those deals. For those who are very familiar with wholesaling, if you do it right and are a good wholesaler, you have your sheets, have your numbers, and have a contractor to back up those numbers, for example. It would work best in your favor. However, again, like I said, I think there's going to be kind of a big gap there, minus the ones who are already doing it and have their real estate license and linked with a broker. So I'm looking to see some of those numbers turn around and things start to get a little bit better in that market, at least in Pennsylvania. I don't know where some of the other states are going to fall, but I know there are some other states that now require some sort of licensure to be able to wholesale. I know Philadelphia, you needed a license, but now that's going to change as well. So I do agree. Unfortunately, this was an area that was the Wild Wild West and wasn't regulated. And now, because there are a lot of bad actors out there, Joe, you've mentioned the people wearing the rented Rolexes and renting one of those high-end cars for $1,000 a day, taking a picture in front of the Biltmore Estates. Biltmore is in North Carolina, for those who don't know it. And just, yeah, so I am happy to hear, at least from a professional standpoint, that those areas are cracking down, as well as also Amy and all of us had that conversation yesterday about leveraging AI and how AI works and the ins and outs, and especially what I do for my professional life, for my full-time job, is implementing a lot of those systems, but in the medical arena. So, again, that's all I have. Again, Timothy Doyle, Steelhill Properties out here in the Greater Lehigh Valley. Remember, if you can't buy it, steal it. Back to you, Joseph. Thank you for having me on stage.
Thank you, Timothy. And, and my thought to what you just discussed specifically, you get to a closing table. Everybody's licensed at the table except the seller, the buyer. Well, not all the time, but the buyer could be a licensed realtor. Okay. But the person that's negotiating out the deal has no licenses. Like, that never made any sense to me. So then why even bother go get your real estate license, I would say to myself, right? So I've been talking about this since starting this house here on Clubhouse, as well as on the podcast. I think licensing is a requirement to be a wholesaler. That's it. If you can't get licensed, obviously because of whatever your background is or whatever, that's your problem, not mine. That's why you need to have a license. You need to have a driver's license to drive. You can't just drive randomly. You need to have a driver's license. You need to have ID to get into certain places. So why wouldn't you require a licensing for a niche strategy within the real estate industry? It doesn't make any sense to me. And now, people are upset. That's okay, because you know what? This too shall pass, and then you'll find a way to do whatever you're supposed to be doing correctly. That's all. It's just another way of being a better person in the industry and connecting with people and strategizing with individuals, identifying the people that you want to surround yourself with. Yeah, I have 3 Facebook profiles that have 5,000 people in each one. I have a Facebook profile, a business page, probably got 20,000 followers, and LinkedIn, 20,000 followers. But I have very specific people I connect with on a day-to-day basis. That's my power team. Okay? It expands, it contracts, it moves around, it shape shifts. You need to identify your bullpen and who you're going to roll with. And you got to also identify the right events to go to and be confident and competent when you're at these events. I'm going to jump back to Owen real quick. Owen, we were at a mutual event this past week, right? Did I take my time sitting around, or did I go up to every single person in that room?
Well, I wasn't monitoring your actions, Joe, but I think we were both networking the event, and we both contributed to the questions and answers for town hall.
Oh, we were all over it, right? We were all over it, correct?
Yeah, because for those events, it was actually a great type of the think tank event. Yeah, that was a great design, that event, where it's almost like a clubhouse in person, right? The person had a question and allowed the audience to give their feedback. So it was actually a good event.
Well, there's some theatrics to it as well, as we know, because the loudest people in the room typically have the least amount of knowledge in what they're discussing, and that's okay. You got to let them talk. But like you and I were very specific in our answers when we raised our card, because we're licensed professionals in our field. We're not going to make ourselves look bad in front of others. And 2, we're going to give honest opinions of current and past experiences, whether personally or on behalf of others. Right? Is that what we do as licensed professionals?
Agreed.
We're both licensed bankers. We're both non-QM lenders. We're both licensed real estate agents. We're both real estate investors. I think we had a lot of layers that bring to transactional experience to individuals that were in the room that didn't have that experience, didn't have those type of transaction involvement. So, that's the type of event that I want to be involved with. I'll go back to that every other month and rotate that with other events to build out my network with local or regional investors and professional services, of course. You got to connect with people. You got to network with people. You got to be a difference maker. You have to have a good software to make sure you can stay in touch with these individuals, whether it's through all the social media sites. Like I'm conducting an audit right now on all the sites that I'm on right now, making sure all my information is correct, it's up to date, has the right correct information, contact information. I giggle when somebody says they couldn't find my contact information, because it's on every one of my professional profiles on every single site that I'm on. But that's okay. That's what they made themselves feel comfortable with to say, and that's okay with them. Mr. Edward Dowling, good morning and welcome. Brief overview who you are, what you do, and thoughts to our discussion this morning. Identify, prospect, and solution solving with real estate investor strategies.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ed. I'm with a preferred partner with the NB Capital. And me and you spoke about this a few times, Joe, about these being licensed. I think it's all about to make sure the consumer is being treated fairly, because there's a lot of cowboys out here just writing deals that are not deals, and they can't move, and they're just wasting people's time and hope. When they shouldn't even be in the business by doing that.
Well, listen, Ed, as you know, you've been in the industry a long time, and the famous quote is, "You see people on the way up, and you see people on the way down if you stay in the business long enough," right? So, right now we're in a changing of the guard. AI is coming up fast and making vast changes in the real estate industry, and these real estate the NAR is waking up to what type of toxicity is in the wholesaling space for the realtor. Okay, and that's not it. Again, that's only one small piece of prospecting and identifying and solution solving, but it's definitely gonna solve a lot of problems with sellers being taken advantage of that don't know the values of their property. I mean, there's some people that just live in a bubble. They don't know about all the stuff that we're talking about. They're not out there. They clock in and clock out at a job, and they don't pay attention. They're not on all these social media real estate groups and Facebook groups and LinkedIn and all that stuff. They don't care about all of that. They go to work and they come home. So there's a large percentage of that, and those are the individuals that need to be protected because they don't know.
Right, and there will be no more $10 earnest money. I mean, you're going to have to put some skin in the game to get these things under contract, as you should. It's too easy for these guys just to walk away and leave the seller hanging.
But Ed, listen, there's more money available in our industry, in the lending space, than ever before. Like, if you can't find money for a deal to take down yourself, then it's not that good of a deal. Because there's so much money out there to partner with somebody to either, I mean, I could call up 10 people that, like, hey, listen, I got a deal. It's going to bear this kind of return, blah, 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 and I'll pay you 10% on your money. I could line up 10 people right now for that, to pay them 10%.
Yeah, if you enter into a contract with either intent never to close or the means to close, it's actually a fraudulent contract. So
I don't think you're.
How do they enforce that?
Well, I mean, listen, and that's where we're talking about how do you identify and prospect and solution solve with your team building, identify lead generation, identifying your market. I mean, I know a lot of people that, they claim they can't find deals in their market. They're looking at other markets, and there's a lot of great markets out there, and you might not be in the market for you. It might not fit, okay? If you're in New York City, you're not buying skyscrapers, okay? You're going to have to invest elsewhere. If you're living in whatever, maybe like Miami, you probably can't afford to invest in your own city, but you can invest elsewhere. I mean, I'm talking about high-ticketed, markets like L.A., San Francisco. And do you even want to invest in there at such a high participation? Only certain investors want to go after those type of properties. So you got to find your market, find your niche, be well balanced on the social media landscape, be integrous, and just kind of be a network. You know, that's a famous quote. You know, be the network. Don't network, be the network. Be the first one there and the last one out. Get everybody's card. Give everybody your card out. Identify, follow up, follow through. And guess what? If an event doesn't work for you, you don't have to go back. There's so many other events. I can go to 3 events a night. If I could cut myself in 3 pieces, I can literally go to 3 networking events a night.
I mean, it's all about network, like you say, networking, but your sphere of influence. You know, the other day I sent out that blast email, text message. I sent out 30 people out of home, and I got a listing out of it. You know, so I mean, people just don't know how to think, or they're lazy. I mean, I don't know, but it's easier to work with people you worked with before than to find new clients.
And how much did that text cost you?
Nothing.
Exactly.
Cost me anything. I don't need the 30 people. I got hundreds of people in my phone book. In my.
You have a phone book?
No, you know what I mean.
Guys, I've known Ed a long time, so I get to bust his chops live on a podcast. So this is now replayed. But you know what? We have real conversations about what's really going on in our market, and sometimes we shake our head, and sometimes we giggle, and you wonder how some people wake up in the morning too. I mean,
sometimes we shake our head.
I think we shake our head more than anything else. But at the end of the day, identify, prospect, and solution solving are very important in your strategy, and you need to work it through. If you need to sit down and mastermind, we're going to have a mastermind discussion here every second Monday of the month starting in September. It will be live in Philadelphia at our offices. Yordal and I will be hosting it at Newbold Exchange at 17th and Snyder, 6:30 to 8:30. And we're going to still be here every Saturday morning, 8 a.m., every Sunday morning, 9:30 a.m. You know, I want to thank our sponsors today, Percatech, Lenmark, Realty 411, MB Capital. Amy, I'd love to get your outro and thoughts to this discussion this morning on identify, prospect, and solution solving real estate investor strategies.
Thanks. Great discussion. Again, I'm Amy Palvido. I'm the chairwoman of the U.S. PropTech Council, and I'm also a longtime real estate investor and real estate technology founder. I would say if you were to invest in one thing to automate any part of your process as far as prospecting goes, I mean, you can do a lot of things on the content marketing, and you can automate a lot of those things. You can do, but you could also just do it yourself. I would say if you were to invest in one thing, it would be a great CRM system, because no matter what you're pushing or matter how you're pushing it out, whether you're using a VA or you're using yourself or whatever it might be, the key is in the follow-up, and the key is in the constant communication. So if you had to pick and choose because you're trying to, pinch your pennies, invest in a pretty good CRM system, and that'll get you farther faster. So that's my outro, Joe. Thanks for having me.
What happened to the half a nickel?
Oh, my half a nickel. Yes. My other half a nickel. There you go. You got a full nickel today.
Listen, who pays attention to your lines? Come on. Give me a little credit, right?
I feel you. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Thank you. Justin, your outro and discussions to identify, prospect, and solution solving in real estate investor strategies.
Oh, yeah. Wonderful conversation. It's a great deal. Like I said, do your homework, ask for professionals, right, to fill the blanks and stay connected. People very appreciative of the time that Amy gave me on last Sunday. She didn't have to give me that time. And I try to I always get value in these type of places. So just, yeah, man. I believe Thank you, everybody, and you guys enjoy your rest of Sunday.
Thank you, Justin. Guys, network, social media, consistency, and continuity. You need to focus in, tie together, be a better real estate professional, be a better communicator, be able to be confident and competent, listen. Sometimes silence is better. Take it all in. That's my final thoughts. I want to thank everybody this morning. I want to thank Owen for popping in, Timothy for popping in, our audience chat. Excellent this morning. We'll be back here next Saturday and Sunday morning, 8 a.m. on Saturdays, 9:30 a.m. on Sundays. We are the Creative Bird Strategy House. We are the Creative Bird Strategy Podcast. We provide CE accreditation for licensed real estate agents nationwide, 3 credit CE courses on wholesaling, as well as asset-based lending. We also provide worksheets for real estate investors to better pencil their deals down. If you need a call to action, reach out to me. Let's strategize. Let's put something together. Let me connect you with somebody that can help you and be part of your power team. My quote this morning, the best 5 doctors: sunshine, water, rest, air, and exercise. I'll be ending the room in the next 30 seconds, and have a blessed Sunday morning.